Good morning. Those of you in the back, can you hear the guitar all right? You hear it all right? Okay. Our opening song in the Prelude is Peace Like a River. And I know normally the Prelude is just played by the performer, but everybody knows this one. So I'd love it if you would all join along. Peace Like a River. It's number 100 in your hymnal. So it's not up on the board there because we weren't really initially intending it as a hymn, but I'd love it if you would all sing Peace Like a River, number 100. I've got peace like a river, I've got peace like a river, I've got peace like a river in my soul. I've got peace like a river, I've got peace like a river, I've got peace like a river in my soul. I've got joy like a fountain, I've got joy like a fountain, I've got joy like a fountain in my soul. I've got joy like a fountain, I've got joy like a fountain, I've got joy like a fountain in my soul. I've got love like an ocean, I've got love like an ocean, I've got love like an ocean in my soul. I've got love like an ocean, I've got love like an ocean, I've got love like an ocean in my soul. I've got pain like an arrow, I've got pain like an arrow, I've got pain like an arrow in my soul. I've got pain like an arrow, I've got pain like an arrow, I've got pain like an arrow in my soul. I've got tears like the raindrops, I've got tears like the raindrops, I've got tears like the raindrops in my soul. I've got tears like the raindrops, I've got tears like the raindrops, I've got tears like the raindrops in my soul. Last verse. I've got strength like a mountain, I've got strength like a mountain, I've got strength like a mountain in my soul. I've got strength like a mountain, I've got strength like a mountain, I've got strength like a mountain in my soul.
Good morning. Welcome to the First Parish Church of Stowe and Acton, a welcoming and spiritual community. My name is Lindsay LaPointe, and I serve as your RE Chair, Religious Education Chair, and I'm also a member of the Worship Committee. For those of you visiting us for the first time, we welcome you. Please let us know that you're here. We have these cards that are in some of the pews. We'll replenish them for September, but we have these to fill out just to let us know that you came today. Sorry, I went off script. I have to find where I left off. So you can drop off these with an usher if you filled one out. Our minister and staff and board are listed on the front of the ordered service, and please feel free to ask me or any of these people who actually aren't here today because we're in summer mode, but you can ask any of us up here any questions that you would have. If you'd like a large print hymnal or an assisted listening device, please ask one of the ushers. The assisted listening devices are small radios, and anyone is welcome to use one, and you can listen to the service from another space in or around the building. I'd like to draw your attention to the announcements in your order of service, and also invite you to check out our website for more information. You can sign up there for our newsletter and email alerts. So I'm true, we do not have coffee hour today. Is this right? We have some letter writing. Is that right, Neil? So please join us in the vestry. In the vestry. The vestry for some letter. Is that right, Rick? Yeah. Directly below us. Thank you. During the summer, on our Sunday service, they are led by community members and our lay leaders. And today's service is led by Neil Saunders. And let's see, is that all we need to do? Yes, I think I did it.
You did it. You have one more thing, and that is, could you light the chalice?
I can do that, yes.
Good morning, everybody. Thank you all for coming, and special thanks to the worship committee for inviting me to lead this service today. Chalice lighting words are by the UU minister Elizabeth McMaster. We light our flaming chalice to illuminate the world we seek. In the search for truth, may we be just. In the search for justice, may we be loving. And in loving, may we find peace. So I'm going to provide a number of reflections, and this is the opening one of those. I'm going to take us back to the beginning of the 19th century, when many of the early leaders in the fledgling Unitarian Church that grew out of the War for American Independence, many of those leaders spoke forcefully in support of peace. A few even described themselves as pacifists. One of the most notable voices was that of William Ellery Channing, minister of the influential Federal Street Church right here in Boston. Many of his sermons were directed against what he called the miseries and crimes of war. He vehemently opposed the War of 1812 against Britain and founded the Peace Society of Massachusetts in 1815. Channing believed that passivity or pacifism did not equate with weakness, but he instead spoke to a position of principle and courage. He argued that war was a contradiction to Christian values, and that nations should strive for peaceful resolution to conflict. In one of his most memorable speeches, he declared, quote, "War not only assails the prosperity and morals of a country, its influence on the political condition is threatening. It arms government with a dangerous patronage, multiplies dependence and instruments of oppression, and generates a power which, in the hands of the energetic and aspiring, endangers a free institution." Prophetic words indeed. Another passionate advocate for pacifism, Adin Ballou, was both a Unitarian and a Unitarian minister in Milford and Mendon in the years leading up to the Civil War. Not coincidentally, he was equally prominent in the movement to abolish slavery. Ballou's famous UU hymn, "Years Are Coming," is a stirring call to put down arms and let peace reign. First published in 1842 during the Seminole Wars in Florida, it was then republished in 1861 on the eve of the Civil War. Please stand as you are able, and let's join in singing Years Are Coming, number 166 in the Gray Hymnal. And again, I'm going to ask Michael to lead us in this.
Since his years are coming, it's number 166, as Neil said. So it's not one we sing very often, but you actually kind of know it. You may know it as Blue Boat Home. It's the same song as Blue Boat Home, but a little less syncopated, all right? So it goes, years are coming, years are coming, speed them onward when the sword shall gather us. Okay, got the idea? So it's a little bit more on the beat, all right? Years are coming, speed them onward when the sword shall gather us, and the helmet, lance, and falchion sleep at last in silent dust. Earth has heard too long of battle, heard the trumpet's voice too long, but another age advances, seals of old in ancient song. Here we go. Years are coming when forever war's red banner shall be furled, and the angel beasts be welcome, region of a happier world. Hail with song that glorious era, and the sword shall gather us, and the helmet, lance, and falchion sleep at last in silent power.
Please remain standing as we say our covenant and affirmation. Love is the spirit of this church, and service is love. This is our great covenant, to dwell together in peace, to seek the truth in love, and to help one another.
Let's do our affirmation in a cappella. From all that dwell below the skies, let words of love and peace arise. Let joyful songs of praise be sung through every land, by every tongue.
Please be seated. I'd like to invite Mark up for Joys and Sorrows, who is not Ann Wickham in your program.
Good morning. I am Mark Koenig, and it is my privilege to be one of the lay ministers here at First Parish. The lay ministers are a group that supports Cindy. We are here to listen to members in times of joy, as well as to help expand support from FPC in times of trouble. You can learn more about us if you go to the website and search for pastoral care. So we will light 2 final candles, one for the cost of war, and the other for all of the joys and sorrows in our hearts that remain unspoken.
some further reflections on peace. The First World War divided Unitarians. Some, like John Haynes Holmes, a prominent Unitarian minister and an outspoken pacifist, refused to support United States entry into the war. However, the American Unitarian Association, the AUA, under the leadership of former President William Howard Taft, sanctioned the U.S. war effort and ultimately denied aid to congregations with pacifist ministers, many of whom lost their positions. Holmes was so disillusioned that he resigned his ministerial fellowship in protest. Nevertheless, when the conflict came to an end, the AUA actively supported the League of Nations, which had been expressly set up to avoid any possible repeat of what many considered to be the war to end all wars. Of course, barely 20 years later, with Hitler's rise to power, the world did go to war again. While many, if not most, Unitarians saw World War II as a just war, this time the AUA recognized the right of pacifists within its congregations to follow their conscience and opt out. Although much of its support for the war effort was devoted to providing humanitarian aid to those civilians whose lives were devastated on and off the battlefield. In 1940, the Unitarian Service Committee was created to help the desperate plight of European refugees. And when the guns eventually fell silent, the AUA appointed Elvira Fradkin, a noted Unitarian feminist and peace activist, as an official delegate to the newly formed United Nations. In the decades that followed, Unitarians endorsed the mission of the United Nations to promote peace, justice, and human rights. This brings us to 1961, when the Unitarian and Universalist denominations were merged with the formation of the Unitarian Universalist Association, the UUA. One of the UUA's first actions that year was the adoption of 6 principles, spelling out the foundation of its faith. The fourth of these was to implement our vision of one world by striving for a world community founded on ideals of brotherhood, justice, and peace. In 1985, a 7th principle was added, and the overall language significantly revised and simplified to reflect gender equality and inclusivity. But the 6th principle, which came to be referred to as the peace principle, was little changed. The goal of world community with peace, liberty, and justice for all. Now let's settle into a period of prayer and reflection. This prayer comes from a peace service held at the Unitarian Universalist Congregation of Binghamton in New York in 2013. Spirit of peace and life, may this day of peace shine as a reminder that every day can be a day of peace. May the violence and horrors we still find in the world neither dishearten us nor tempt us into cynicism. May peace prevail on earth. Spirit of peace and life, may we always stay open to the possibility of peace through our words and our actions. May we remain maladjusted to violence and discontented with easy solutions involving violence. May peace prevail on earth. Spirit of peace and life, may the meditations of our minds and the words of our mouths be set on peace and compassion, even when we would have the nerve to speak truth to power. May peace prevail on earth. Spirit of peace and life, may our minds be set on peace with freedom and justice, and may a song of peace take root in our hearts and sing to us gently through all the tumultuous days ahead. May peace prevail on earth. Let's now pause for a few moments of silent prayer and meditation, which I'll end by sounding the gong. It's time now for our offertory. In July and August, we share our weekly offering with 4 recipients: UU Trauma Response Ministry, UU Mass Action, Native Plant Trust, and the Groton Hill Music Center. You may donate with a check made out to First Parish, online at the address in your order of service, or text to the number also in the order of service. And while the offertory is being taken, Michael is going to lead us in When I Breathe in Peace, I Breathe Out Love.
Right, so your part is easy. You're going to do breathe in, breathe out, breathe in, breathe out, and then I will sing over that. And how do we end the song? It's always a question how we end the song. When it comes to the end, I'll join you for 2 rounds of breathe in and breathe out. And that's how we'll know we're ending, all right? So let's start together. So breathe in, breathe out, breathe in, breathe out, breathe in, breathe out, breathe in, breathe out. When I breathe in, you keep singing. I breathe in peace. When I breathe out, I breathe out love. When I breathe in, I breathe in peace. When I breathe out, I breathe out love. When I breathe in, I breathe in peace. When I breathe out, I breathe out love. Breathe in, breathe out, breathe in, breathe out. Very nice, thank you.
Some final reflections. I think it would be fair to say that the Vietnam War tore Unitarians apart, as it did with lots of other sections of the country. As the war intensified in the mid-1960s, many UUs questioned the morality and wisdom of the war in the light of the Sixth Principle. It was widely seen as an unjust war, and thousands of UUs participated in anti-war vigils and protests. Some opposed the draft, refused to serve in the military, and became conscientious objectors. A few congregations even declared their churches sanctuaries for draft resistors. After the war ended with the fall of Saigon in 1975, Unitarians began the painful process of mending their differences and moving on. However, the Gulf War of 1990 reopened some of these old rifts, as did the momentous decision by the United States government to invade Iraq in 2003. When it became clear that by the end of that year that the Iraq war had become a stalemated quagmire, consuming precious American lives and untold civilian casualties, the UUA came out firmly against the war. In 2007, then UUA President Bill Sinkford called for an end to our reliance on violence as the first, rather than the last resort, and an end to the arrogant unilateralism of preemptive war. No doubt he was sparked by the decision the previous summer at General Assembly to select peacemaking as the first topic for the UUA's newly developed Congregational Study Action Issue process. The product of this exhaustive study, conducted over the course of the next 4 years, was a lengthy statement of conscience entitled Creating Peace, which was ultimately approved at the 2010 General Assembly. We believe all people share a moral responsibility to create peace, it began, mindful of both our rich heritage and past failures to prevent war, and enriched by our present diversity of experience and perspective, we commit ourselves to a radically inclusive and transformative approach to peace. In a series of separate sections, it laid out in great detail the necessary steps for creating peace in our world, for creating peace in our society, for creating peace in our congregations, for creating peace in our relationships, and finally, for creating peace within ourselves. Among many standout paragraphs in what comes across as an extremely thoughtful and thought-provoking document is this one. We advocate a culture of peace through a transformation of public policies, religious consciousness, and individual lifestyles. At the heart of this transformation is the readiness to honor the truths of multiple voices from a theology of covenant grounded in love. While not an outwardly pacifist manifesto, for me it beautifully captures the essence of the sixth principle on so many different levels. We now fast forward to 2020, just 10 years later, and a decision by the UUA to consider replacing the long-standing 7 principles with a new set of what came to be called shared values. A study commission was appointed to work on the content and language of these values, and it was agreed at General Assembly in 2023 to move ahead with the proposed new wording for them, albeit with the provision of possible amendments, leading up to what would be a final vote at GA the next year. That's last year. I, just like I'm sure many of you, were oblivious to all this. Thus, when Reverend Cindy brought it to our attention during a service to highlight the significant change about to take place, I was astonished to discover that all of the principles had been incorporated one way or another into the new values, except for one. What had been the sixth principle was gone, and the word peace did not appear anywhere in the proposed new wording. My initial incredulity turned to intense disappointment, frustration, anger, and a variety of other emotions. In working through these, I learned about the amendment process, the first step of which was to settle upon the wording of such an amendment and have it approved by at least 15 UU congregations in the course of the next few months. I was buoyed by the fact that this process was already underway, not surprisingly led by several UUs who had been instrumental in passing the 2010 Statement of Conscience, Creating Peace. I quickly signed on with them, and not long after, I worked with our board of trustees here at FPC, who then unanimously approved the amendment, which added peace as one of 7 values, each graphically represented as petals, radiating out from a central flower labeled love, and stated, quote, "We dedicate ourselves to peaceful conflict resolution at all levels. We covenant to promote a peaceful world community with liberty and human rights for all. Whenever and wherever possible, we will support nonviolent means to achieve peace." With Reverend Cindy's help, I was able to persuade several other UU congregations to support the amendment, and we managed to secure the necessary 15 congregations within the required deadline. This meant that our amendment could be voted on by the delegates to last summer's GA, although under UUA governing rules, a 75% majority would be necessary for it to be approved, which our little group recognized would be a tall order, and so it turned out. I was one of 6 people allowed to speak in favor of the amendment at GA, which, under the governing rules, was balanced out by 6 people who could speak against it. As far as I can understand, the gist of the argument against peace being a UU value is that it equates to passivity, and as such, it can be used to silence oppression and injustice. Some UUs, most notably and vocally a large number of black UUs, feel that peace in and of itself has forced people to give up their freedom and rights in exchange for living without conflict. In my remarks to GA, I quoted Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. Quote, "Peace is not merely the absence of some negative force, war, tensions, confusion, but it is the presence of some positive force, justice, goodwill, the power of the kingdom of God." I added that it is this definition of peace that has been a foundation of UU thought and practice for the last 200 years. We don't wish to silence anyone who is being oppressed, discriminated against, harassed, or violated. Instead, it is the guns, the weapons, the hate, the anger, the vitriol that we wish to silence. The final vote turned out to be only 35% in support of the amendment, which for me was a bitter disappointment. As a transplanted Quaker, it made me seriously question my newfound home in Unitarian Universalism. I've been a member of this church for the last 20 years. But such is the intensely strong and welcoming sense of community I feel here at FPC that I do not want to break with a congregation I love and cherish. Your wholehearted support of the Peace Vigil that I began more than 20 years ago is evidence to me of the importance you place in peace as an inherent principle and value of the faith we all share. And I'm reminded of this each week when we recite our covenant, as we did earlier this morning, calling us to dwell together in peace. And when in our affirmation we sang, "Let words of love and peace arise." And in a few minutes, when we will join in wishing each other, "Peace be with you till we meet again." In closing, I think it's worth noting that when the United States launched an attack on several Iranian nuclear sites just a couple of months ago and threatened further military action, the UUA issued an immediate statement. Quote, "The UUA condemns U.S. military involvement in the expanding conflict between Israel and Iran. The action by the U.S. government represents a moral failure And Unitarian Universalists are compelled through our religious beliefs to speak out against it. Throughout our 200-year history, and especially in recent times, UUs have supported peacemaking efforts and addressing the root causes of conflict. This includes a 2010 statement of conscience on creating peace, in which UUs expressed, "We repudiate aggressive and preventive wars, the disproportionate use of force, covert wars, and targeting that includes a high risk to civilians," unquote. This, to me, is the essence of the peace principle that was jettisoned a year ago. And in my humble opinion, peace should be restored to its rightful place as one of the values that Unitarian Universalists now officially embrace as their core beliefs. And now, please rise as you are able and join me in singing hymn number 170, "We Are a Gentle, Angry People."
It's number 170 in your hymnal. There are 6 verses. Please be ready for a key change on the 6th verse, all right? Be alert to that. We are gentle, angry people, and we are singing, singing for our lives. We are gentle, angry people, and we are singing, singing for our lives. We are justice-seeking people, and we are singing, singing for our lives. We are justice-seeking people, and we are singing, singing for our lives. We are young and old together, and we are singing, singing for our lives. We are young and old together, and we are singing, singing for our lives. We are a land of many colors, and we are singing, singing for our lives. We are a land of many colors, and we are singing, singing for our lives. We are gay and straight together, and we are singing, singing for our lives. We are gay and straight together, and we are singing, singing for our lives. We are gentle, loving people, and we are singing, singing for our lives. We are a gentle, loving people, and we are singing, singing for our lives.
Our benediction comes from Mahatma Gandhi, whose famous pronouncement that it is possible to live in peace is enshrined in one of our UU responsive readings. Nonviolence is not a garment to put on and off at will. Its seat is in the heart, and it must be an inseparable part of our being. It is possible to live in peace. If we are to teach real peace in this world, and if we are to carry on a real war against war, we shall have to begin with the children. It is possible to live in peace. The future depends on what we do in the present. It is possible to live in peace.
Please join me in singing our sung benediction. Peace be with you till we meet again. As life lays its task before you, keep love's banner floating o'er you. Peace be with you till we meet again. We would be one, as now we join in singing our hymn of love, to pledge ourselves anew to that high cause of greater understanding of who we are and what in us is true. We would be one in living for each other, to show to all a new and brighter day. We will be one in building for tomorrow a nobler world than we have known today. We would be one in searching for that meaning which finds our hearts and points us on our way. As one we pledge ourselves to greater loving, with peace and justice strive to make us free.